Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel AgriAddict. As you all know, we are providing online courses for 4 major subject groups including plant science, physical science, agronomy and entomology, and complete mock test bundle for 6 major subject groups including plant science, physical science, agronomy, entomology, horticulture as well as social sciences, which will be really helpful for your competitive examinations preparations including ICAR, JRF, SRF, CUET, IBPS and other agriculture related examinations. Today we will be dealing with the concept of demand analysis. If you really like our content, please like, share, comment and subscribe our YouTube channel AgriAddict. I am Ajay Andosoi. I have completed my undergraduation from College of Agriculture, Padanakkad, Kerala Agricultural University. I did my masters in the subject of agricultural economics from College of Agriculture, Rajendra Nagar, PJTSU, Hyderabad. And currently I am pursuing PhD in Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. In the year of 2021, I have secured All India rank 27 in ICAR JRF examination, and in the year of 2023, I have secured 4th rank in ICAR SRF examination, and in the same year, I have qualified ASRB net also. What is demand? Demand is an important concept in the consumer behavior analysis. In the layman language or in the ordinary language, demand is nothing but the desire of a person to purchase a commodity. But in the economic language, willingness and ability to pay for a good during a specific point of time can be considered as demand. Suppose I am going to the market and I am going to purchase an iPhone. I am really happy that I am going to purchase an iPhone today. I am really willing to pay for that so that it can be considered as a demand. What if I am having strong desire to purchase an iPhone but I don't have enough money? I cannot afford to purchase an iPhone. So it cannot be considered as demand in the language of economics. So there are two basic requirements for a commodity said to be having a demand, that is willingness to pay and ability to pay. So willingness and ability to pay for a particular commodity during a specific point of time can be considered as demand. Generally demand is divided into two, that is individual demand and market demand. What is individual demand? The various quantities of a commodity that a consumer would be willing to purchase at all possible prices in a given market at a given point of time, remaining all other conditions constant, can be considered as individual demand. Suppose I am going to the market and I wish to buy some apple. Let this will be the price of the apple and this is the quantity that I am going to purchase. So the seller is offering 1 kg of apple at 100 rupees. I would be willing 5 kgs of apple. What if the price is 150 rupees? I'll be buying less than 5 kgs, right? Because the price is more. So my budget has to, I have my budget constraints. I have my own limitations. So if the price was 100 rupees, I would be buying 5 kg. And if the price is 150 rupees, I would be buying only 4 kgs and I'll be going home. What if the price is 200 rupees? The price is again high. So I'll be buying only 3 kgs of apple. What if it price is 250? I'll be buying only 2 kg. And what if it is 300? 1 kg of apple, they are offering at 300 rupees. So I would be purchasing only 1 kg and I would be going home, right? So at all possible prices, the individual is demanding different quantities of the commodity, right? So various quantities of a commodity that a consumer would be willing to purchase at all possible prices. At all possible prices, I would be willing to purchase these much quantities, and that can be considered as individual demand. So what is a demand schedule? A list of prices together with the quantities that will be purchased by a consumer is called as demand schedule. So this can be considered as a demand schedule, right? At all possible prices, the list of all prices together with its quantity demanded is specified here. So this can be considered as a demand schedule. What is market demand? As we have individual demand for a single commodity, there are many commodities in the market. So the sum of the individual demand of all the consumers in a market for a given commodity at a specific point of time is can be considered as market demand, right? So let this be consumer A, that is me, and another person is there and he will be having a different demand schedule, right? Another person in the market will be having a different market demand schedule. So the summation of every consumer's demand schedule will be resulting in the market demand. I hope the concept is clear. So willingness and ability to pay for a particular good during a specific point of time can be considered as demand. Generally it is classified into two, that is individual demand and market demand. Individual demand is nothing but the various quantities of a commodity that a consumer would be purchasing at all possible prices, cannot be ceteris paribus, that is remaining all other conditions are remaining constant, it can be considered as individual demand. And summation of all individual demands can be considered as market demand, and a list of prices together with the quantities that will be purchased by a consumer can be called as demand schedule. Coming to the kinds of demand. What is kinds of demand? What are the kinds of demand? First one is autonomous demand and second one is derived demand. What is autonomous demand? The goods whose demand is not linked with the demand of other goods are supposed to have autonomous demand. So what if I am going to purchase a pen? So the utility that I derive from pen is that not at all depending on any other commodities, right? So the demand for the pen is not linked with any other objects, so that it can be the demand for the pen can be considered as autonomous demand. Anything, pen, book, chair, table, or any commodities from which the consumer directly derives satisfaction and the demand is not linked with any other commodities, then that can be considered as the demand for that commodity can be considered as autonomous demand. Or in simple terms we can use the word consumer goods, right? I hope you recall the concept of consumer goods or first order goods. These are nothing but the goods from which the consumer is directly deriving satisfaction, and the demand of consumer goods are not linked with any other goods. So consumer goods can be considered as the demand for the consumer goods can be considered as autonomous demand. What about derived demand? The demand for certain goods is related with the demand for the other goods, which is called as derived demand. So if A is a commodity, the demand for A is in turn related with the demand for B, then such demand can be considered as derived demand. For example, producer goods, right? What are all producer goods or second order goods? Those commodities from which the utility can be derived by the consumer, but the utility derived by the consumer will be in turn depending on other objects, right? For example, what about fertilizer? I am going to produce some rice. If rice is having higher market price, then I will be purchasing more rice, right? So in order to increase the area or the production of the rice, I have to use higher dose of fertilizers or increased quantity of fertilizer. So demand for the rice in turn creates demand for fertilizer, right? So demand for a certain good is related with the demand for other goods, which is called as derived demand. So for producer goods the demand is derived demand. So for consumer goods the demand is autonomous demand because the demand is not linked with any other objects, but in the case of producer goods the demand is derived because it is depending on the demand for other goods. So the demand for the producer goods can be considered as derived demand. I hope the concept is clear. Which are the types of demand? There are three types of demand, that is price demand, income demand and cross demand. What is price demand? It refers to various quantities of a price or service of a good or service that a consumer would be willing to purchase at all possible prices in a given market at a given point of time, ceteris paribus. We are going to consider a demand schedule here. Let it be the same schedule that we have considered earlier, that is price of an apple and the quantity demanded, right? So price of the apple is 100 rupees. We will be purchasing 5 kg. When it is 154, when it is 203 kg I will be buying. When it is 250 I will be buying only 2 kgs, and when it is 300 I will be only purchasing 1 kg. So see, price demand is nothing but it refers to various quantities of a good or service that a consumer would be willing to purchase at all possible price in a given market at a given point of time, remaining all other conditions constant. So price demand is nothing but at all possible prices how the consumer would be demanding a commodity. What is income demand? It refers to various quantities of a good or service that a consumer would be willing to purchase at different levels of income. Here we are considering the consumer income, consumer income, and the quantity purchased. So in the same market, I am not considering the price of the commodity, I am considering my income. If I am having just 5000 rupees per month, I will be purchasing maybe 5 kg, right? If I am having some 4000 rupees, the what happens if my income is less than this, so that I will be purchasing only 4 kgs. If my monthly income is 3000 rupees, again the quantity is going to reduce, that is to 3 kg or 2 kg. Okay, again if 2000, just 2000 rupees was my consumer income, assume, so I will be consuming only 2 kgs of apple. So according to at different possible levels of income, how the consumer is going to demand, and this will be given by the income demand. So it refers to various quantities of a good or service that a consumer would be willing to purchase at different levels of income. What is gross demand? It refers to various quantities of a good or service that a consumer would be willing to purchase, not due to the changes in the price, but due to the change in the price of the related commodities. So if I am going to purchase some bread, so my quantity will be depending upon the price of the jam, right? Because they are just complements. If I am going to purchase some bread, the jam is also needed, so the price of the jam also will be affecting the demand for the bread, right? If for a bottle of jam the price is just 100 rupees, I would be purchasing some 5 packets. Okay, if the price of the jam is 200 rupees, I won't be purchasing this much because I have to pay for the jam, right? So just 4 packets only I will be taking. What if it is 300 rupees? I will be purchasing just 3 packets. The price of the jam is again increasing for a single bottle, that is 500 rupees. Then I will be purchasing only 1 packet, right? So as the price of the substitute complement commodity increases, it also will be in turn changing the quantity consumed of a single commodity. So that can be considered as a cross demand. So cross demand is nothing, it refers to various quantities of a good or service that a consumer would be willing to purchase, not due to the price of the same commodity, but due to the price of the related commodities. I got the concept. I hope the concept is clear. So coming to the demand function, what is a demand function? The demand function of a commodity describes the relationship between the quantity demanded and the factors such as price of the commodity under consideration, price of the related commodities, income level. So our quantity demanded, if I am going to purchase a commodity, the demand for that commodity will be depending on several factors, and the relation between the quantity demanded for that commodity as well as the different factors which is responsible for that quantity demanded is represented by the demand function. Mathematically it is given by QD is equal to function of Px, Pr, It, etc, etc. QD is nothing but the quantity demanded. So quantity demanded is function of these many elements. What is Px? It is the price of the commodity, price of the same commodity. What is PR? That is price of the related commodities. As we have already seen, the price of the jam bottle is also affecting my demand for bread. So price of the related commodities is also affecting my quantity demanded. So price of the same commodity also have an important role, and price of the related commodities, and again my income also will be having an important factor while I am going to purchase a commodity. If I am going to purchase an iPhone, if I don't have enough income to purchase it, then my quantity demanded will be 0. I won't be purchasing an iPhone. So my income is also really considered, and it will be differing according to the tastes, preferences, and habits. So my quantity demanded also will be depending upon my taste, preference, and habits. If I like apple and if my friend is not liking apple, so my quantity demanded is affected by my taste, because I will be going so that I will be going to buy some apple. But according to my friend's case of demand function, he or she won't be having enough taste or preference for this apple, so his or her quantity demanded will be 0. So demand function is nothing but the relationship between the quantity demanded as well as the factors which is causing the demand. And the important factors which is causing the quantity demanded or in relation with the quantity demanded is nothing but the price of the same commodity, prices of the related commodity, income level of the consumer, tastes, preferences, habits, everything is coming. So this is the demand function. And coming to one of the important law in the consumer behavior analysis, that is law of demand. What is law of demand? Law of demand explains the functional relationship between price of a commodity and the quantity demanded for the same. When the price of the commodity changes, how the quantity demanded for the consumer is changing. That is explained by the law of demand. So according to the law of demand, it is observed that the price and the demand are inversely related, which means that those two move in the opposite direction ceteris paribus. So what if as we have already seen, when I went to the market, as the price of the apple was increasing, what happens to my quantity of demand? Quantity that is demanded by me, it is decreasing, right? When it was 500 rupees, I was just purchasing only 1 kg of apple, right? So but when it was 100 rupees, I would be purchasing more. So when the price is really less, I will be buying more, and when the price is really high, I will be buying less. So law of demand explains the functional relationship with the price of the commodity as well as the quantity demanded for the same commodity. An increase in the price leads to a fall in the demand, and a decrease in the price leads to a rise in the demand. There are certain assumptions for the law of demand, that is, income of the consumer is given constant, so there won't be any changes in the tastes and preferences, habits, etc. And constancy of the price of the other good, that is, price of the related goods should be same. So when we are stating the law of demand, we are giving a ceteris paribus, that is, remaining all other conditions has to be constant. So income of the consumer should be constant, taste, preference, habits, everything has to be constant, and the price of the related goods should be constant, and the size and composition of the population in the whole society has no change should be there in the size and composition of the population. These are few assumptions in order to for the proper working of the law of demand. But even if we have specified the law of demand as the inverse relationship between price as well as the quantity demanded, there are few exceptions for the law of demand. It's not always price inversely proportional to quantity demanded. That is, when price is increasing, quantity demanded may not be decreasing all the times. Which are the exceptions of the law of demand? One is Giffen's paradox. In the mid 1900s, let me tell you a story. In the mid 1900s, in Britain, bread was a cheaper food commodity. So there was a trend that when the price of the bread increased, it was observed that the quantity consumed was also increasing. So in the law of demand, we have already seen that the demand curve was negatively sloping, right? As price in the y-axis increasing, quantity demanded in the x-axis is decreasing. See, price increases, so the quantity demanded is decreasing. Price increasing, quantity decreasing. When price decreases, quantity increases. So this was the case of law of demand. And in the Britain in the mid 1900s, when the price of the bread was increasing, the quantity consumed was also increasing by the consumers. Why it happened? It was observed by Robert Giffen. And the reason for this was happening was like, the bread was the cheapest commodity which is available. So among the other food products, even if the price of the bread increased, what the consumers did, they have cut down their expenditure for the other related products like meat, fish, rest every items they have cut from their expenditure. And even if the price of the bread increased, they started to buy more because they didn't have any other option. So even if the price of the bread increased, since the purchasing power of the people were really low, they have to cut the expenditure for the other products, and they purchased bread because bread was the cheaper commodity. So this paradox was observed by the then statistician Robert Giffen, and after him this exception was uh, given the name Giffen's paradox, and those goods were termed as Giffen goods. So the first and foremost exception of law of demand was given by Robert Giffen, and that was Giffen paradox. And according to uh, uh, the law of demand is not working under the case of Giffen good, and here the demand curve is upward sloping. That is, when the price is increasing, the quantity is also increasing. So if a demand curve is upward sloping, then we can make sure that that commodity is a Giffen good. Another one is, the second exception is prestigious good. Imagine, assume, what is the case for gold, silver, platinum and all? These are ornaments, right? But even if the price of the gold, silver, platinum are increasing, the people are not bothering about the increasing prices, right? They will be buying it because it will make some prestigious position to the consumers in the society, or having those good will give some prestige to the consumer. So irrespective of the increase in the prices, they will consume it more. So for those goods, even if the price is increasing, the quantity demanded also will be increasing, because the society or the custom or the prestige which is the consumer is seeking will be satisfied even if the price is increasing. So here also, in the case of prestigious goods also, law of demand is not working properly. The third one is conspicuous consumption. This is nothing but the case of luxurious goods. Even if the price of the luxurious goods is increasing, in order to show some social status, people will be buying it. We have already discussed the luxuries in the classification of the goods, right? So what is the case of luxuries? We can travel from one place to another using a public transport system, or even we can buy a car or a scooty. But if we are buying a supercar for that, then that can be considered as a conspicuous consumption or a luxury, because buying that will be giving some additional satisfaction while being in a society. So that is conspicuous consumption, and in this case also law of demand is not working. Another one is ignorance effect. See, if the demand schedule is nothing but the list of prices as well as the quantity demanded across all these prices, right? So the consumer has to know what are all the possible prices which is prevailing in the market. What if I am not knowing the whole market prices? If I am going to the market, I am going to purchase apple, and I am directly going to a seller and he is offering the apple at 100 rupees. What if a seller is giving the 1 kg apple for 50 rupees in another corner? I don't know whether he is selling there or not, right? So even if the price is higher here, I would be purchasing, because I am not having enough patience to go till that corner of the market. So ignorance effect also might cause for the exception for the law of demand. Another one is fear of shortage. What if I am so frightened that the commodity that I am going to purchase will be over soon, or tomorrow it won't be there in the market. So if I am having that fear, then I'll be purchasing that quantity even if its price is higher, right? So according to the fear of shortage, even if the price is really high, I would be purchasing it and I would be stocking it in my home. So fear of shortage is also another exception for the law of demand. And the last one is network externalities. It is nothing but because of the social pressure, how our demand for a commodity is changing. That is called as network externalities. In the network externalities, two effects are coming, that is bandwagon effect and snob effect. These concepts were discussed by Harvey Leibenstein. Imagine a situation that I am living in a society, or I am living in a colony where everyone is using an iPhone, and I am using a normal Android phone. If the society around me, every one of them is using an iPhone and it is a normal commodity to them, then I'll be forced to join them, right? So that can be considered as a bandwagon effect. That there works the positive externality, right? So when the social pressure insists me to move on to or insists me to demand for a commodity, then there works a positive externality, and that can be considered as bandwagon effect. What about snob effect? If everyone around me is demanding for a commodity, and if I need to be having a change, or I am reluctant to be the normal standards of the society, then I'll be walking away from the society, so that I would be demanding something else. So there uh, works some negative externality or negative social pressure. So because of that negative externality, I will be demanding some other commodities where the society around me is demanding. So that can be considered as snob effect. So by definition, bandwagon effect is the cause of the existence of positive network externalities, which refers to the desire or demand for a good by a person who wants to be in style, because possession of their good is in fashion, and thereof many others have it. So among others, in my society, everyone is having a particular commodity. I am the only one who is not having the commodity, so I will be in pressure to have that commodity, right? Everybody around me is having this thing, I don't have that thing, so I have to have that thing. So the demand which is occurring because of that is because of the bandwagon effect. So their law of demand may not work whether the price is high or low. And the second one is snob effect. By definition, snob effect is the case of the existence of negative network externalities, which refers to the desire to possess a unique network which is having a prestige value to the owner of the commodity. So none of the society around me is having, but if I am having that commodity, then that will be having a unique value among the society. So because of that, nobody is consuming it, but I am consuming it. So because of that negative externality, the demand occurring is explained by the snob effect. So the network externality is also resulting in the exception of law of demand. So these are the exceptions of laws of demand. First one is Giffen's paradox, second one is prestigious goods, conspicuous consumption, ignorance effect, fear of shortage, as well as network externalities. Coming to another important concept, that is extension and contraction of demand. As we have already seen, the law of demand, the demand curve can be shown like this. In the x-axis quantity demanded, and in the y-axis price. So the demand curve is downward sloping. Why? The price is inversely proportional to the quantity demanded. When the price is increasing, quantity is decreasing, right? See, this is a higher price. The quantity, see, at P1 price, Q1 is demanded. If the price is decreasing, quantity is increased from Q1 to Q2, right? Here what happened? When price is decreased from P1 to P2, quantity is increased from Q1 to Q2. So this is the law of demand, and it is a downward sloping curve. And there is two important terms, that is extension of demand and contraction of demand. What is extension of demand? Buying more quantity of a commodity at a lower price. See, when price is decreased, the quantity is increased. Price of the same commodity decreased and the quantity is increased, so that the buying more quantity, that is from Q1 to Q2 in a reduced price, can be considered as extension of demand, or moving down along the demand curve can be considered as extension of demand, or moving from upstream to downstream can be considered as extension of demand. What is contraction of demand? Buying less quantity of a commodity at a higher price. So in the same demand curve, Q1, Q2, P1, P2. So when price is increasing, the quantity decreases from Q1 to Q2. So moving upwards through the law of demand curve can be considered as contraction of demand curve. So moving down is, this is the quantity axis, quantity is coming in under the x-axis. So moving down is nothing but the extension of demand, and moving up is the contraction of demand. So extension and contraction of demand occurs at the same demand curve. There is increase and decrease of demand also. At times we will be confused with the concept of extension, contraction, increase and decrease. Extension and increase is not the same. Extension and contraction happens only when law of demand works, that is when the price of the same commodity decreases or increases, respectively the quantity is also increasing or decreasing according to the law of demand. But in the case of increase and decrease of demand, there are some other factors which is causing the demand curve to shift. Only when the price is increasing or decreasing, the quantity demanded increases and decreases through the demand curve. But there are some other factors which is often called as shift factors. All factors except the price of the same commodity can be considered as shift factors. Which can be considered as shift factors? Price of the related commodity, then income level of the consumer, as we have seen in the demand function. Income level, taste, preferences, composition of the population. See, apart from the factor of price, that is price of related goods, income level, everything, when whichever factor changes, then the demand curve won't be, or the quantity demanded will not be going through the same demand curve. Instead, the demand curve will be shifting either upwards or downwards, and shifting of the demand curve results in the increase and decrease of the demand. So increase in the demand is nothing but the demand curve shifts upwards to the right. Let this be the demand curve. What if it is shifting towards up because of some of these shift factors? So rightward shift towards up will be resulting in increase in the demand. Similarly, when the demand curve shifts downward to the left, it can be considered as the decrease in the demand. So increased demand is nothing but the demand curve shifts upward to the right, and decrease in demand, it is nothing but the shift of the demand curve towards the left downwards. So extension and contraction of the demand happens along with the same demand curve, whereas increase and decrease is happening while having a shift. So increase in demand is nothing but the demand curve shifts from lower pace to upper pace, and decrease in demand is nothing but the shift of the demand curve from upper to lower, that is it is shifting left to the downwards. And the factors which is responsible for the increase or decrease in the demand can be considered as shift factors, and it includes price of the related commodities, income level, taste, preferences, composition of the population. Apart from the price of the commodity, whichever factor which is causing the increase or decrease in the demand, that can be considered as a shift factor. Okay, again it is restated here: factors affecting the demand, that is tastes and preferences, income level of the consumer, price of the related goods, the habits of the consumer, the region, the season, everything which is apart from the price. When price of the commodity increases, the demand curve moves along, the quantity demanded changes along with the along the demand curve. So that's all about today's topic. Thank you for your patient listening. If you really like our content, please like, comment, share and subscribe our YouTube channel AgriAddict. You can go to the website of AgriAddict as well as the application which is available in the Play Store, and you can avail the free mock test which is available. And if you are really interested, you could avail the complete mock test bundle for the competitive examinations preparations. Thank you. See you in the next video. Bye.